interest among people who benefit from the current system to keep it going. I mean, they're the ones, don't forget, they control the money where they can create, trillions of dollars out of thin air and do things like jack up the price of stock and give enormous power and wealth to chosen individuals. And so the people who have their hands on this magic money machine are not going to go quietly into the night. And we see that repeatedly. So, yeah, I mean, this person you're referring to is one of their senior enforcers or henchmen. But like I say, we've got to go after the folks who own the Fortune 500 corporations. It's not going to end until we take it to that level.
I looked up Cass Sunstein. He teaches law at Harvard, but all he is into is behavior modification, which seems more of a psychology thing, which kind of...
they've been managing human sheeple for thousands of years. We must not underestimate these people.
Yeah, well,
their weakness is that the power is highly concentrated in a very small group, and that's where we're going to focus our efforts. I said that right from day one. If you go after their men in black, you'll suffer the fate of peasants with pitchforks against mercenaries with steel. You have to go for the eye of the pyramid. Nothing else is going to work.
Cass Sunstein is trying to nudge people towards the clean agenda. He works for the WHO. He's created the social credit score in China. He wants to create a social credit tax on conspiracy theories. So you're getting taxed for conspiracy theories under Cass Sunstein. You're taxed for your beliefs, and you're traced by your cell phone. I'm waiting for the Great Reset. I'm broke, and like every month it's a struggle. It's a struggle for Uncle Eric to pay all of his bills. I tell dick jokes and dive bars. I'm trying to pay my rent, my car payment. I'm waiting for a jubilee that you've been sort of saying. But then I'm alarmed when Dr. Rashid Butler goes on the Tinfoil Hat podcast with Sam Tripoli, and he says what the jubilee is going to look like. And frankly, I don't like what Dr. Rashid Buttar said.
They're just doing it to cull humans. That's what it appears. They're going to forgive everybody their debts. The report that I got was they're going to have a world debt forgiveness program. And in order to participate in this world debt forgiveness program, there are a couple of criteria. Now, I've actually heard about this world debt forgiveness program for the last year. I've been hearing people talk about it. In social circles, people talk about how it's going to be great, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But if you tell a child in a classroom, child A something, you whisper in the ear, and then A tells B something, by the time it gets to C, it's a totally different story. So this world debt forgiveness program that's going to be funded by the World Monetary Fund, I guess, is supposed to be a good thing, and they're going to pay.
So they're gonna pay everybody their rent, but they gotta get this. It might kill a lot of them. That's what Dr. Rashid Butler said.
That's what they're trying to do. It's like when they had all these anti-war protests in the Vietnam War. They sort of soft pedaled. They kind of retreated a bit, and until people calm down again. So this is their attempt at controlling the idea of a jubilee, so that they stay in power and they stay in control. And that's definitely the World Economic Forum, Davos people, probably headed by a mysterious Egyptian pharaonic group known as the Octagon Group, and they're trying to stay in power. And that means, sometimes you have to give extra food rations to the sheeple to calm them down, and that's what they're trying to do. So we don't support that kind of jubilee. And we believe that the system of creating and distributing money should be a public utility that's transparently run by the people and for the people. And that's not what they're talking about. They're still talking about, a secret control group that will stay in power by, trying to appease the sheep a little bit, while at the same time carefully killing the ringleaders, behind the scenes. That's what they're trying to do right now. Like I say, these people have been running us for thousands of years. This is not an easy battle we're involved in.
Well, one thing that makes me less optimistic about the Great Reset that the World Economic Forum is planning for us is something that Charlie Robinson said on Sean Atwood's program.
My research has kind of taken me, ironically, is off of Ghislaine Maxwell and more onto Isabel Maxwell, because what we've been seeing lately is this push for the Great Reset by the World Economic Forum and this fourth industrial revolution. And I've been on your show before, we talked about it a little bit, but the person that is involved in the technology component of the fourth industrial revolution, a high-ranking person there, is Isabel Maxwell. So if people are unsure about this Great Reset or who are these World Economic Forum people and can we trust them, the short answer is, well, they've got Isabel Maxwell running a component of it. So if that answers part of your question.
So what do you think? Isabel Maxwell? Is she the best person to run the Great Reset?
I've been telling the U.S. Special Forces and other people and the Russians, everybody else, that they need to send special forces into Switzerland, into Zug. You need to take over the BIS. You need to physically occupy this area, or it's going to continue. When I went to Italy to meet the P2 Freemasons, who told me they controlled the mafia and the Vatican, they said that they took their orders from Switzerland. So, you know, and so did the Japanese military intelligence when I first got involved in this stuff. They pointed to Switzerland. The NSA has told me that even Xi Jinping has run out of Switzerland. So, you know, we've got to focus on the real core of the problem and not get distracted by red herrings.
Santa Claus Schwab is kind of revealed himself to be the great emperor of this whole Great Reset, and he said some really creepy things. Let's listen to what Klaus Schwab has said.
This revolution will come at a breathtaking speed. It will be like a tsunami. And actually, it's not just a digital revolution. It's digital, of course, physical, it's nanotechnology, but it's also biological.
Wait, nanotechnology? What is Klaus Schwab saying about nanotechnology?
You know, I had South African secret police and former Rhodesian secret police, two different people located in two different continents, who were both involved in these white minority governments in that area. And way back in the 1980s, they were using electromagnetic energy, what they call 5G now, and they were able to either incite mobs into violence or calm them down using electromagnetic waves, okay? And they have, you know, and I released on my homepage that as early as 2006, Hitachi, the Japanese electronics company, had RFID chips. You know, these are microchips that you can access through electromagnetic spectrum, you know, in radio frequency waves, basically radio frequency identification chips that were small enough to be into people. And I have heard, from people who actually make this stuff, that they can get into people and they can use that to manipulate minds, and they are definitely trying to do that to stay in power. This is not paranoid conspiracy stuff. This is provable in a court of law, and these people are trying to do that in order to stay in power. It's definitely a battle that we have to fight. And when they're coming at you and your family for a fake, provably fake pandemic, that is a line that they've crossed that they must not cross. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, they've crossed the line in the sand, and that's the only answer until we get complete and total surrender.
So you mentioned before that we can't have trinkets in Walmart, so, you know, some European elite sold the Chinese, New Zealand, Australia. One of the things they have, I know on the back of my Social Security card, I have a Social Security card. On the back of it is a red number that Gordon Maxwell, I think his name is, told me long ago that was my, slave number for Wall Street speculators. Alison McDowell went on the Higher Side chats to do with this nanotechnology, and she said that the slavery, not just the prison labor, but all humans of America are going to be blockchain slaves in this financial tyranny, financial sort of transactions between America and China if elected. I just want to play Alison McDowell's research here.
So these markets were, one of them is in pre-K, as I mentioned before, the Salt Lake City bond. The other key concept that it's important to understand is something called blockchain identity, or a decentralized identity system. And that is what is coming with the ID 2020 initiative and the biometric passports. Because what I was saying about the cost offsets is essentially to play this game that they've created and to justify essentially using predictive analytics to profile people into, if not pre-crime, pre-burden, pre-social burden, to enable the profits for JP Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs and Citigroup and UBS Bank, among others, and the Vatican. But in order to make that happen, all of the data has to live in a big pool.
Do you have a response to that? Is that what you're hearing?
Absolutely. I mean, I had, for example, the my Russian FSB source. She runs a company that provides, security for the oligarchs, the people who run Russia, and we're not talking about the fake Putin and stuff. We're talking about the real people. And she said that they're in Africa right now, giving everybody free cell phones with free electronic money, just so they can get the data, so they can bring Africa under control. This is from a primary source. And here in Japan, they are trying to impose this My Number system, which the Japanese people have successfully resisted. But it was the same. They wanted a mark of the beast number. So each person, if you had an RFID chip into you, it would have a unique identification number that only would be in your RFID chip in your body. And then they could, at a distance, access all the data about you and, if necessary, use the electromagnetic waves to alter your behavior. This is what these people are aiming for, and this is what we're fighting against.
So
I don't want to lose my free will, and I'm not going to. I'll fight to the death rather than become a slave.
Electronic from a distance freedom from JP Morgan Chase. I don't like the bankers. I'll tell you this, Ben Fulford. Let's have a little levity here. I'm a stand-up comedian, but I have an idea on how to back up our currency. If we don't have gold in Fort Knox, how should we back up our currency?
Well, joking aside, everybody does have an internal financial system. So, for example, if you and your girlfriend, you keep tabs on what favors you do for each other, right? So, obviously, if you're going to get a job, for example, you're going to have to earn it some other way, maybe washing dishes or something, you know what I mean? That's how it works in a real-world system. We all have an internal accounting system where we keep track of who's bought more dinners than the other person and who's washed more dishes, and that is really the basis of the financial system at the individual level. So yeah, it's real things like silver, jugs of milk, but it's also things like shoulder massages and stuff. We all have this system, and that's what it really should be, the ultimate basis.
I always vacuum the stairs. I'll tell you this, when I got a girlfriend living it, I'm vacuuming the stairs. That's a hard job. That takes, 15 minutes with a vacuum over your head. That's a real economy.
Well, without women, human beings would be extinct. So my view is we have to treat women as goddesses and do what they say,
I agree with you.